Hello, welcome to episode 171 of the Epic Film Challenge 2, 1001 Movies You Must See Before You Die, 1933's She Done Him Wrong. The shortest film ever nominated for the Best Picture at the Academy Awards. It's just over an hour long, 62 minutes. It stars Mae West and a very young Cary Grant, who is awesome. I love Cary Grant, and seeing him in kind of a more minor supporting role was kind of weird, because usually he's the star of the show in the films I've seen him in. Mae West is very much the figurehead of this film, and she was an actress at the time, but also she did a lot of stage work, and in the 20s she put on plays and she wrote plays, and they were very sexually suggestive and stuff with innuendo, and she actually wrote a play called Sex, which incited I should say, a police raid on the play. They sent her to jail for 9 days. They were really touchy back then about this kind of stuff. And this film is based on a play that she wrote, and the film censors were so no, you can't make that play into a film, we'll ban it, so they had to kind of make sure that it wasn't advertised as being an adaptation of the play. Anyway, the story is set in the 1890s, and it says at the beginning, the gay 90s, and which is quite weird to think of, the 1890s as the 90s, but to them it would have been. And it's set in this kind of seedy bar, and there's a woman there called Lady Lou, and Lou is played by Mae West, who is the star of the show. It's her movie, and she's this character who lives above the bar, and she's got diamonds and stuff, and she basically just marries around, gets money and stuff, is very upfront about it, and she has this personality that I guess informed a lot of starlets of Hollywood and the big screen, things like that. And I think that your enjoyment of this film will live and die by how you enjoy Mae West's performance, and I didn't get on with it very much. She had this very sleazy kind of way of acting. I didn't really believe her. I believe that she was trying to be that way. The writing is very sharp. Her delivery of her lines is very sharp and witty and funny. And I imagine back then it would have been very successful. It was very successful. They made it on $200,000. They grossed over $2 million. That's 10 times the return. So obviously it was very popular and it was nominated for an Oscar, but I don't think it's aged very well unless you really love that time period and that style. I didn't really get on with it that much. I just heard, there were some funny lines. She's saying to her assistant at one point that she's talking about men that she's been with over the past, and her assistant says, "Oh, I bet the wolves are knocking at your door." And she says something to the effect of, "Knocking at my door? The wolves come in my room and they have pups," There's some funny lines in it, but I didn't buy into her character that much, and ultimately it's about this very shallow character, and they kind of touch on maybe, what the actual human inside this kind of larger-than-life kind of bawdy and brash woman is, because Cary Grant's character's you've got a soul somewhere. Maybe one day you'll find it. You're hiding under a mask, but that never really got delved into very much. It's only an hour long, and by the end of the film, nothing's really changed with her anyway. She's back to her old ways, and so I just didn't feel like it was a very satisfying experience as a story. Oh, and I suppose that it's worth noting that this is the film that popularized or has the famous quote where she says to Cary Grant, "Why don't you come up and see me sometime?" Which I feel like it is part of my kind of consciousness as a film fan, but never really thought about it, never knew where it came from, which was kind of cool, but even that wasn't very cool, really. It was just it's just part of the character that's so sleazy and not very likable, I don't think. So yeah, I just want to throw that in there. On with the rest of the video. It was an alright film. It was good. There were some good parts to it, but not very memorable. If you're a big fan of Mae West, and who knows, maybe I'll watch more of her films and get into it more, but I just didn't quite buy it. There was something a little bit, don't buy it. Like I said, I'm repeating myself. So for me, it's not a film you should see before you die. It was good to see Cary Grant, but there's a lot of characters who just have such small roles that nothing really feels fully developed. If you take the end of the film and then expand that into a different section, a different part of her growth as a character, I think that could have worked really well. The ending of the film with spoilers. Her and Cary Grant going off together, even though he's a cop and everything, and she deserves to be put in jail, he decides to marry her anyway, and it's just maybe, if we went to see that marriage and kind of the friction between the two, and maybe her starting to change, that could be a really good story, but yeah, for me, it just fell short a little bit. So, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.